8 strikeouts. Solid performance out of him. He is a very, very good pitcher from every indication I have. He's 28 years old, so he's still a young cat. Made his debut last year on the 4th of April. And he's got a 3.86 ERA, so he's certainly nothing to scoff at. He's through 75 games, and in those 75 games, has pitched a total of 207 innings. So he has certainly had his feet wet now in the major leagues, and he's obviously starting to just get a little bit of confidence, right? I mean, he's clearly gone out of his way to establish himself in this Baltimore Orioles rotation. And he was a 2016 15th round pick. So what we're talking about, guys who are drafted, in the 15s and lower back then, this was back in the days when the rounds would go, in the 40s, I believe. So take that for what it's worth. Let's talk a little bit about his deep stats. Now, he's going to give you about a 93 mile an hour average fastball. So with that being said, it's not different than what we saw yesterday. So this team has to be able to adjust to that. But he is very, very good from every indication I have at changing speeds. His changeup, 86 miles an hour fastball. His cutter, 89. And his cutter seems to move quite a lot, by the way. Slider at 84 miles an hour, and his curve at a devastating 75 miles an hour. So he clearly has the ability to change speeds, and judging by his numbers this year, seems to do it very well. He doesn't seem to get barreled too hard, a 21% barrel percentage. His fastball, ton of spin. All of his pitches have a lot of spin. The chase rate is high. The curve rate is high. And when guys do make contact, they're not hitting it very hard. 26% average exit velocity. So don't count on this offense to barrel him up often. So with that, this is probably going to be a very, very important game to have small ball. If he is going to walk you, which is not very common, you got to take those walks. But with that being said, sit on one of those pitches. Now, what does he throw most often? Well, of course, that would be his fastball. He seems to throw it 36% of the time. His changeup, 19% of the time. His cutter, 17% of the time. His slider, 16%. And his curveball, 10% of the time. Now, some of the biggest things to me here, the fastball seems to get hit for him specifically when it's high in the zone. So what that tells me is that though he is pretty good at changing speeds, he might not be the best at placing his fastball. If you look at the hot zones, up and right in the center, so right at the letters, the middle letter, he seems to be getting hit extremely hard. So with that being said, look at Trout's homer yesterday. It was a fastball out and away. So think about that mental image. About a ball or two over towards the center. That is where he is getting barreled the hardest. So if any of our guys can sit on that, we might be in for a successful day of getting him out of this ball game early. Now, the other pitch that he seems to get barreled the highest on is his changeup down and away. So for any lefties in the lineup, they need to be able to flick their hands in, drop the elbow, and adjust accordingly. Now, the problem with that is a lot of the lefties we have, specifically Shohei Ohtani, tend to pop that pitch up. Now, Ohtani in the past has been very good at going opposite field. So with that being said, if he can have an earlier swing, sit on that changeup in, he can pop it over the shortstop's head and in between left field. We've seen Shohei Ohtani do that successfully before. Can we see him do it today? Let's hope so, because that is going to be pivotal while facing a good pitcher like Tyler Wells. And the other thing, the only other pitch I see here that gets barreled consistently in a specific zone is that curveball down and in, according to most right-handers batters boxes. So if they can sit on those pitches, we might be in for a very good day. But time will tell, because Lord knows this Angels offense has been struggling mightily. Now, speaking of the offense, let's go ahead and talk about the lineup as first pitch is only a couple minutes away here. Thank you for joining us here in this early morning. Now, leading off for the Angels in left field, Mickey Moniak. Batting second in center field, Mike Trout. Batting third, the designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani. The cleanup spot today, the right fielder, Hunter Renfroe. Batting fifth at first base, Brandon Drury. Batting sixth, the catcher, donning the tools of ignorance, Chad Wallach. After that, we have Luis Rengifo. He is batting seventh at third base. Now, once again, he is a switch hitter, so that might be somebody else to look out for in the left-handed batter's box if he can turn on that pitch down in the zone. Batting eighth, the young gun, the shortstop, Zach Neto. And finally, batting ninth, making his debut this season, Livan Soto. He finished with a solid last 2 weeks of the 2022 campaign. Let's see if that can transfer to this season. And then once again, just in case you missed it, Tyler Anderson is on the bump today. Now for the Orioles, batting first, the left fielder Hayes. Batting second, Adley Rutschman. He is the DH today. Batting third, we have Ryan Mountcastle at first base. Batting cleanup for the Orioles, Anthony Santander. Batting fifth, McCann at catcher. Batting seventh, we have their center fielder, McKenna. Batting eighth, Mateo at shortstop. Oh, sorry, he's batting seventh. Batting eighth is Gunnar Henderson at third base. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Ortiz. We saw him yesterday at shortstop. Now, the Orioles' bottom of the lineup is what you have to take advantage of, with Mateo batting 261, Gunnar Henderson batting 195. But Gunnar Henderson has definitely shown flashes in the past of some potential power, so be a little weary there. And then ninth, Ortiz. We saw him yesterday, but he's only batting 125. Not a single – okay, one guy is batting over 300 for the Orioles today. That is McKenna, but I don't think he has a lot of at-bats. While that loads, 42 at-bats, so a relatively still small sample size, but he's batting 333, so be on the lookout for that. The good news is no Cedric Mullins today. I know he hasn't had the best series, but he's definitely somebody to look out for overall for the Orioles. Fortunately for us, not today. Now, I predicted yesterday that Mike Trout was going to have a decent game. I said if we can get one hit, I said a double, but he ended up giving us a home run and a walk, that was going to be good for Mike Trout, especially because he's still been getting on base. But, and even yesterday at the very end of the game, did get on base, did give the team the opportunity. Unfortunately, Hunter Renfroe gave the ball a ride, just couldn't do anything with it. Now, today, I think the player to watch is going to be I'm going to take the cop out here and say Livan Soto. What are we going to take out of him? What are we going to see out of him? Ending the year last year with a solid 2 weeks. Hopefully it can translate from his time in the minors to the Angels. So that's going to be the guy who I think is going to have a good game today. I'm going to also say one hit. It's going to be an RBI, and he is going to get a walk. He's going to go 1 for 3 with an RBI. And I think Zach Neto is the guy he drives in. I think Neto's going to get on too, and he'll probably get about a double. Soto will hit a gapper, and that'll be that. So what's going to happen from the Angels? Time will tell. Make sure to tune in later for the post-game show. Let me read some of these. I don't know where you guys get the energy because this team is so cooked. Eddie, you are absolutely correct. This team is definitely cooked. It's not looking good right now. We get the energy because we like doing this. I love the ability to talk baseball. I love the ability to just have a platform for it. Robert, Eddie, I agree. I'm glad that there are the loyal list of fans and provide great content to keep us all going. Yeah, it gets really, really tough. The good news is we don't have to come on this platform that we have and be Roger Lodge. I don't have to sit here and tell you guys all about how it's all going to be okay. And I don't have to go ahead and lie to my boss, RD Moreno, who just wants all of your money. Now, Eddie, I think this team truly believed they were good enough and played with a certain confidence. After the Texas-Houston homestand, I think they realized they don't have it. This team doesn't have it where they currently stand. Is the season still early enough to turn things around? In theory, sure, but there has to be an outside force. in the form of, I believe, Perry making a legitimate move that is going to rejuvenate this club. I think the best way to do that and the quickest and most affordable way to do it, because we know Artie Moreno loves spending money. Yeah, right. Is by helping the bullpen. Aroldis Chapman's a name that's been thrown around a lot. If you can get him for a fairly cheap price, the Royals did take him as a rebuilding project. Hasn't done that bad. You know, a lot of people are like, well, call Ben Joyce up. I have yet to see enough out of Ben Joyce long term yet, but that's certainly an option. Sam Bachman is going to be an option come later this year, but you can't force this stuff with these young guys. Not everyone's Zach Neto. Zach Neto has come up, and sure, that batting average might not be the most attractive at 235, but his defense is solid. He's not a liability with the stick. Very seldom does Zach Neto ever look overmatched. So it is possible for these young guys to come up here and have an immediate impact. I mean, look at Logan O'Hoppe. His batting average wasn't the sexiest either, but nobody on earth was complaining about him batting 245. We were happy, period, with what we were getting out of Logan O'Hoppe because it was better than we expected. He wasn't a defensive liability. And he was providing a spark offensively that this team just didn't have. And maybe that's the trend this organization needs to take. There's going to be a lot of talk here about what's going to happen with Shohei Ohtani. And we're going to be talking about it, and every other podcast is going to talk about it at length. So with that being said, maybe the future is younger because we might celebrate for a year or two that we re-signed Ohtani to a lifetime contract. But let's face it, after 2026, 2027, we're going to be talking about another bad contract. Now, if I have a World Series ring to go with the one I have up there, and I have 2 World Series rings or maybe 3 in my hand, I can care less. That's all that mattered to me. We got our ring. Cool. It's not my money. F it. Let's roll. It's Artie's money. But will Ohtani stay? Is it worth staying? Much more on that to come. The box score, make sure to check out their podcast coming in the fall, I believe, but make sure to follow them on their socials. Are going to lose today 10-2. That's a bold prediction, but you might not be wrong. We are going to lose. I don't think you're wrong about that. I mean, I think James and I both predicted a 1-for-3 series, but 10-2, I think it's probably going to be more of a 6-3 kind of game. Anderson won't get in past the 4th. I think you're wrong there. I think he, by necessity, will get into the 5th. I mean, we've seen a struggling Ohtani who's given up 5 runs get into the 6th. So I don't think Phil Nevin is going to be super keen to pull these guys, especially with such an early game. And with the homestand starting tomorrow, they're going to have a long flight. He's probably going to try to save the bullpen as much as possible to blow some games in Anaheim, right? Robert, I hope we keep using the minor league system to help this team. If we are not making a trade in the pen at the very least, I agree with you. I already touched on that even before I read you. There you go. Great minds think alike. That's why you are around, Rob. Adele and another prospect for Chapman. I think Adele and a prospect for just Chapman, in my opinion, is just a little bit of an overpay. I'm not opposed to moving Adele. His trade value is the highest it could possibly be right at this moment. I mean, the Angels are playing a poker game, and they have a 2 and a 4. They're calling the bluff. They're calling BS. Everybody knows, and it's not even a good calling BS. Everybody knows who Joe Adele is. Now, do people know what he can be? Absolutely. But baseball isn't always a business of what somebody can be. Sports in general isn't. Is there an appeal to certain moves and, to maybe some of the mystery of these guys? Sure. But there is no magic in the wonder for Joe Adele. People know what they're going to get. So Adele and another prospect, I think might be a bit of an overpay, but I'm totally here for trading Adele. And I'm totally here for getting Aroldis Chapman. I think he could be a very good back end of the bullpen piece. 8th, maybe 9th inning guy. I'd like to see a little bit more out of Estevez before I just completely write him off. Yeah, he did blow a save. That is going to happen. If he could continue to ride the chip and turn things around, I might still be in on the Estevez situation. The box score, no, he does love spending money. He just spends it like a wife at the mall on a Saturday. No, he spends it like somebody at a swap meet on a Saturday, because at the mall would at least imply that there's some quality products getting purchased. You know, you can't just go to J.C. Penney and get, a crappy shirt. There's a certain quality out of a Macy's, a Sears, a J.C. Penney, a Kohl's. I know I'm probably showing my age there. A lot of kids are like, I haven't heard of most of those shirts, bro, or the stores. Sorry, I haven't heard of most of those stores, bro. What are those? Are those the Spirit Halloweens at the mall? But yeah, no, probably like at a swap meet. All the cheap stuff that's from like overseas. Not even like the good overseas product, because there's certainly some good products you can get overseas. Don't believe me? Go to Walmart. But yeah, Mervin's. There you go. I remember Mervin's, man. That's where my mom would take me to get all my after school supplies. Remember, I grew up in Central California, much like you did. I grew up like 20 minutes from Hanford. So Mervin's, Kmart, that's what we had, baby. And JCPenney, of course. But that would be at the Visalia Mall. That was a little bit of a drive for us. It was only like 20, 30 minutes, but we'd make it. I just don't think we have enough left-handed pitchers. Yeah, Rob, let's just make it all left-handed pitchers at this point. We definitely need one of those color thingamajigs, closer thingamajigs. Ooh, color thing. I'm going to join Rocks. I just got canceled. I accidentally said color thingamajigs and not closer thingamajigs. Yeah, we definitely need one of those closer thingamajigs. Hey, Houston Street, are you available? we're scrounging the bottom. No, but how funny is it when we trade a guy like Ty Buttrey? He's having like a career resurgence for the AAA team of the Astros. Yeah, he's hurt with a finger situation. He tried to catch a comebacker barehanded on a bounce, and he got a hairline fracture on his finger. But overall, his numbers look pretty good. His velo's there. We could have used that right now to at least help. Am I the only Moniac honk? I'm hoping this dude stays. He certainly wants to stay. Let's see if he gets another leadoff homer. Kmart Blue Light Special, baby. Yeah, I remember those days. I remember getting the Route 66 shorts because they were like $3 or something like that. Anyway, that's going to do it out of us here at the Halos in the Infield pregame show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and enjoy the game. I don't want to say something ignorant like let's get a win, because I'm not Roger Lodge, but I will say something ignorant like let's play a good game. Who wants to come back to Anaheim with a minus 500 record? I sure don't. Well, have a great day, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you later for the postgame show with Todd Fox.